Welcome to the coordinate plane and horizontal and vertical lines practice set. As always, like and subscribe if you find this video helpful. Pause the video to work these problems on your own and then come back to check your work. You might need to magnify these graphs a little bit to see them. I did the best that I could. Okay, so the first exercise here is just to get more comfortable with the coordinate plane and plotting points. Now, I want to draw your attention to problem 1 and problem 5. A common mistake that I've seen in my classes is getting these ones wrong. There's something about the 0 in there that just tends to throw students off a little bit. So in this first one, the x coordinate is 0, which means on the x-axis, we are going to be located at the 0. And then the y coordinate is 3. So we're not going anywhere on the x and we are going straight up on the y. So we should have the point right there. Next one, the x is -5. No, that point disappeared. Okay, next one. X is -1 and y is 5. So we're going to go over to -1 and up to 5. So right there, -1, 5, right there. Next one is -2, -3. So we go to -2 on the x and then down to -3 on the y. So -2, -3, right there. And then we have the point 4, 5. So x is 4, y is 5. So we're going to come over here to 4 and then up to the 5. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. It does not want to let me put dots on there. And then the last one is 3, 0. So this means we're at 3 on the x-axis, but at 0 on the y. So we'll come over here to 3, and then we go not up and down at all because we're going to stay at 0 on the y-axis. So that would be here. Now, hopefully those weren't too bad. The most common mistakes are honestly switching the axes. So I will occasionally see like somebody doing YX instead of XY. So if you did that, know if it's careless. So sometimes it can happen just because we're not paying good attention. But if you did it on every single problem, then you know you have a conceptual thing. We got to straighten it out. It's the X and then the Y. Now, interestingly, this is bonus knowledge. These are sometimes called rectangular coordinates. So you will sometimes hear that. And the reason why they're called rectangular coordinates is because when you go to plot them, you do so in this way that looks like a rectangle. And so you say, well, it goes right 4 and up 5, or you could go up 5 and then right 4, and you make these rectangles. There you can also see all of the little grid lines are little squares. And a square is a specific kind of rectangle. So these are called rectangular coordinates. They are not the only kind of coordinates. There are other ways of plotting points that you get to usually in pre-calculus. So they're like a ways down the line, but it's just another name for it. So a little bit of bonus knowledge there. Write the equations of the horizontal and vertical lines going through the given points. Now, in the lesson, I went and graphed this. So we'll kind of do this first one with a graph. So here's our coordinate plane. So we have 1, 2, 3. It's kind of okay. And the point in question is right 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 3. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, 2, 3. So like right about there. And so we're looking for the equation of this line and the equation of that line. And so if we look at the horizontal line, we've got the y coordinate is the most is the one that's being held steady. Sorry. So y is equal to 3. And if we look at the vertical line and we look at what is being held steady, it would be the x coordinate, and the x coordinate is 4. Now, you might have noticed that these are simply the points that you have up there, the locations. And so if you look at it this way, we've got the x and we have the y, so we could have simply said x is -1 and y is 6. Now, if you did that, okay, I want you to stop and look at your work. I do want you to make an addendum to your notes, and I want you to write that this is the vertical line and this is the horizontal. Not just taking the shortcut and saying x is -1, y is 6, because if somebody were to tweak the directions on this and they were to only ask you for the horizontal line, you really need to know which one of those you're supposed to answer. Or if they're only looking for the vertical line, which one of those is the vertical line. And you don't want to get too lazy and just give them both all the time. Right. Write the equations of the line shown below. And so we kind of did that in the last one. If you look at the horizontal line here, you're looking for what's the thing that is held constant. And in that case, it's a y value, and the y value there is 6. Over here, if I look at what is constant, it is an x value, and the x value is -3. And the other value does not matter because it doesn't matter. X is going to be -3 no matter what. Okay. Sketch the following lines. So I'll pull some different colors here. So x is equal to 3. That will be a vertical line going through x is 3. So that would be right there. And you do want to put the arrows on it. I know that on an earlier graph, the vertical lines don't have arrows on them, and that's like just the program that I'm using to graph them doesn't want to do that for the vertical ones, but they should be there. X is -5, so we come over here to the -5, and that will also be a vertical line because what we're holding constant there is vertical. Awesome. Is the x. Y is equal to -1. So this is horizontal, and we'll go find the y is -1. And there's that one. And last but not least, y is equal to 3. This is also horizontal. And y is equal to 3. So that'll be up here. I lost my pen there for a second. There we go. Okay, so it should look something like that. Horizontal and vertical lines are not super complicated to do, but what they also are is not very common. So once we get into graphing other kinds of lines, we don't graph a lot of horizontal and vertical lines. And by the time you get to Algebra 2 and you need to come up with equations of vertical and horizontal lines for your asymptotes, then nobody remembers them anymore. Because we kind of cover them at the beginning of graphing, and then we don't ever do them very often. Now, one more caution before we go to the next slide here is don't refer to these as, it's going to be a weird direction here, as straight. Now, I am aware that they are straight. Okay, I am aware that these are straight lines. The reason I don't think it's a great idea to refer to them as straight lines is because all lines in math are straight, not just vertical and horizontal. And so I will often get students describe a horizontal line or a vertical line as a straight line. And what they mean by that is that it's not tilted. Most of the lines that we end up graphing are going to be at some kind of a tilt. So it'll have something called slope. And so students will go back and say straight lines to mean these ones, but all lines in math are straight. So the way you want to refer to these lines is using the words horizontal and vertical. So make sure you're using those words. Those are the words that you're looking for to describe what these lines are, not straight lines. Like all lines are straight. So that won't tell you the thing that you want to know. Okay, and these are, I think, some thought-provoking questions. So what is the equation of the x-axis? So this is the x-axis right here. The x-axis is a horizontal line. And a lot of my students will forget that the x and y axes actually do have equations themselves. So the x-axis is a horizontal line. It's the horizontal number line. And if you look at all of the points on the x-axis, okay, all of these points, just like with any other horizontal line, there is a value that is consistent there, and that value is that y is equal to 0. Did not turn my highlighter, which is fine because we're going to do this for the y-axis. So here's my y-axis, a little bit harder to highlight. There it is. And that is a vertical line, just like any other vertical line. And so we would look for all the points on that vertical line. And we would want to know what's the thing that's being held constant there. And what's being held constant is that x is equal to 0. So the x and y axes themselves also have equations. One is y is equal to 0, and the other is x is equal to 0. So you just don't want to lose sight of that. It's like an interesting little bonus there. And I think that wraps it up. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you found it helpful, and drop me a comment or a question below. And I will see you in the next video.